let's go. Let me show you my talk first. Let me give you some value first, and then tell you who I am. Because if you know me, then an introduction is kind of unnecessary, and if you don't, then you frankly don't care what I did 10 years ago. So what are we going to talk about today is product-led growth. What we do in product-led growth is we try to establish trust different than classical marketing or sales tactics to scale any company. We're talking about showing value and not talking about it, which is kind of ironic because I'm talking about it right now. Let's talk about this particular word here, trust. Let's say you have a document that is too big, and this is how generative AI thinks about how to visualize this. You have a PDF that is too big, you need to do something with it, and it just does not work. What do? You go to Google, and you type in, I need to compress this PDF. You're probably very stressed. Then you're going to get a result, hopefully from small PDF. It tells you here how you can compress this PDF and get a really good version out of it. Then you get a drop area, you put it in there, and then you get a download. At no point did I require you to register in any way. And this entire flow is what we optimized, was also the way that we formed trust with our customers. It was very, very fast. And then at some point, if you loved it a little bit too much, we gave you this kind of thing, and then you had to get your credit card out. But that's, we also have to make money, right? There's a lot of companies out there that are doing product-led growth. None of you is new to the concept of trials and self-serve. I'm not trying to sell you on that particular thing. Canva is really good. HubSpot is really good. But what are we talking about here? We're talking about how to create and scale, most importantly, a successful product. And the definition of a successful product is actually not that easy. You need to have something that kicks ass, so something that's product market fit in a big enough market that I can scale. And I also need to have a distribution to bring it out there. And this is the key. So when we're fundamentally talking about product-led growth, we're talking about some kind of distribution model. Because there's a lot of products out there that are really good, and nobody's using them. 20 years ago, I was told that if you have a great product, everything else will follow. Content first, form follows. While that is true, you need both. And if we're looking at the market with this very lovely corporate pyramid, this is how you know, by the way, that you will land in executive leadership. You start to have these kind of slides in. If we're looking at the market, we have 4 segments, right? We have the enterprise segment, few accounts, a lot of money, mid-market, the lower B2B segment, and then also consumer. And product-led growth is really good traditionally in the lower segments. So where there's a lot of people with relatively little value. And sales-led growth, those are the experts in the enterprise and higher segment where there's a lot of money, lots of problems, lots of important people with lots of ties, and high ACVs. So let's fundamentally go one step back. What are we talking about when we talk about sales-led growth? We talk about a model that starts an acquisition that is typically driven by marketing. We have some big monetization. We have someone ringing the gong, someone that wants to sell you as much licenses as possible so they get their check in the mail. And then we have some retention that hopefully works out afterwards. We're trying to match the value that we have as an organization with the needs of a customer. And there's nothing wrong with that, but fundamentally the risk in this model is with the customer. I give you $30,000 and then you give me a car, and if the car is bad, it's kind of my problem. But we're gonna fix it for you if you give us even more money. And that's how we used to sell software 10 years ago. On-premise software, good times. Okay, what this is it is high upfront cost. It's a long-term commitment. It is sales-led. How do we do this in product-led growth? When we talk about product-led growth, we talk about trials, freemiums, interactive demos, all that kind of stuff, but there's more to it. What we talk about is we have some kind of free user acquisition, which does not mean that the users are free, but your product is free, and they are being acquired into the free flow of your particular product. They're using it, and this is what marketing brings in. Then we have to retain them. So we have to prove now at this point that we can retain free users in some particular way. And if you pay a lot of attention, then you can see that I was using my visual skills here to make this line a little bit thicker, because that's where the magic is. The next step that we're going to do is, once we have proven that we can retain people with our free product, which is not that easy, then we try to close them small. We do some kind of small monetization. We try to get a little bit of money out of you, so in the future, you can expand with us. So the model focuses on this expansion revenue, and I hope I can show you why afterwards. What we try to do here is we're trying to experience value without payment or acquiring sales in any way, and the risk is now with the business. It's a low upfront cost. It's focused on expansion. It is very transparent, and you can cancel at any time. I'm driving very close to the road. Anyone who's doing product-led growth in here, and that has also Excel sheets in front of them, they know that every month, every second month, every third month, whatever your plans are, all your revenue is up for renewal because all of your customers could cancel. So we drive very close to the road. But there is something going on that you might not be aware of. We have a looming recession. I mean, everybody hopefully is aware of this, right? So like, money is just not that easy to come by again. And now acquisition is burning. And this happens every time. Every time something happens in the market, everybody tells you like, oh, we need to be efficient. You have to do more with the money that you have, Leah. Do more. And that usually means acquisition budgets are just burning. But the other thing that's happening now from the other side is that AI is coming into the market. And AI is really good in creating some products. There's a commoditization happening. There are more solutions for the same problems that we tend to have. And that means messaging. Me claiming that I have the best product in the world and not this person over there. Sorry for whoever you are, that was not personal. It means that my messaging differentiation is getting harder because why should you believe me? You have to start to differentiate yourself through the actual product and the positioning that you have in the market. But if you listened before, I told you that we also need to have some kind of way of reaching the users. So how do we tell users? It's kind of a chicken and egg thing. The question behind all of this is who do we trust as consumers if everything looks perfect from the outside? Because this is the world that we're heading to. AI makes it really easy to create marketing copy that looks good enough, pictures that look professional enough, claims that we are the best, and this person is the best, and that person is the best. So who do we trust? Customers ultimately always go back to what cannot be faked, and this applies to B2B, this applies to B2C. And that is the success with a product. And product-led growth establishes this trust by delivering success as fast and authentic as possible, payment later. Who in here was around when banner ads were invented? Who enjoyed that? Ah, the guy that invented it over there. Okay, so banner ads, when they were introduced, they had a very high click-through rate. Everybody who works in marketing is just salivating at the thought of like, oh my God, 2% of people were clicking on this kind of garbage. And then we started to learn as people, they click on it, and it's never actually doing what you're supposed to. And, my parents, most of the time, they still do that, but, And the conversion rates went down from 2% to 0.02% or whatever it is today. We develop patterns, and we start to know when something is fake. So no matter how much you train your marketing and sales to deliver the perfect pitch, the success with the product will reinforce whether you can do it in the long term. So let's talk for a moment about this. This is about choice and commoditization. If I am in the market to get a new car, now I can choose from 12 different models. I don't have like 2 to choose. Which ones am I going for? I don't know, but I don't have to check all these 12 because 3 of them maybe offer me a really good buying experience. So the buying experience, what my product is, how am I buying this, how am I being treated, is becoming much more important than just the core product itself. And this is the first thing that you have to take from this. Because what we're fundamentally looking at from a product-led growth perspective is that we have a core product, which is your car, but all the other services, they are there to look at customer success in a very specific way. So let's look at customer success in this way. We have some kind of moment where the customer, the user, B2B, B2C, doesn't matter, is ready to use your product. And we have some kind of aha moment, which is usually you have experienced the value of the core product. The car drives, yeah, it's pretty cool. And then you have some eureka and habit moment, which is you experience some extended value from this particular product. This could be, hey, my phone actually integrates with this car. I have a problem with this car. I can press this button, and then some nice little men and women are coming and fixing my car. That's a really cool experience. So that would be an extended version of your value, but not the reason why you bought the car in the first place. This is where retention happens. Let's talk about this one for a second. So what is a eureka and a habit moment, fundamentally? For Slack, it was if you sent, as a business account, 2,000 messages within 30 days, then we counted you as having reached the eureka and habit moment. Mind you, this is before payment. No payment has happened. I'm just looking into this whether I can measure it. At Small PDF, what we used to do is we said, if you started to use 2 different tools on one document, then you had a eureka moment. Because the eureka moment is the majority of our acquisition comes in for one problem, and then they're like, oh, wow, that was really cool. You can actually do more for us. Cross-selling. And you might think that this way of looking at customers is a very dirty word that everybody who has been in my workshop knows since yesterday. It's a funnel. Don't like the word. So you put something in at the start, 1,000 users, and then you get something out at the end, which is a customer. It's kind of like the F word, right? So I'm not going to say it anymore. And while this is legit, this is not how we should look at it. Let's look at this different. Let's say everyone who's coming in has their setup moment, goes through the aha, develops a eureka moment. What is happening to those? They have a chance to start to recommend your product to someone else. And if you're a good leader that cares about the efficiency of your company, then you know that making this efficient is the future of your business. It is what makes you scale. And it's what makes you happy. Because there's nothing cheaper than word of mouth, but it is very hard to get. It's the one salesperson in your team that is super expensive to hire, but once they work for you, they do it for free. And knowing this particular loop is knowing whether you can keep the water that you're going to add on top in once you add more. When I consult with companies, what I see very often is that they tell me how much money they make. Oh, we've been doing 2 million ARR, 3 million, 4 million. Everybody who has ever invested in here is then going to ask, what did it cost you to get that particular revenue? And it's not just the people that you have on payroll, right? Because if I want to scale it, I need to know how much did you pay for these 2 million? And did you pay in a way that you can repeat it? Because if you invited your friends and families and your network into your product and that is generating your revenue, that is not scalable. Scaling, this thing, when it is inefficient, is the #1 reason for product-led growth companies to die. It is the #1 reason for people to go on LinkedIn and say, PLG does not work, Leah. It's garbage. We don't want to give our products for free. And I'm like, good for you. Okay, so how do we make this wheel turn? How do we make it faster? What we need is we focus on recurring needs. Everything that is recurring is happening often. Happening often means we have a lot of chances to wow our users. Short time to value, extremely important. The amount of time it takes from one person to have a specific thought, this is my problem, to the value that they get, is highly indicative whether they stay with you for a long time. Your product needs to be easy to explain and recommend. Did you ever think about whether you are creating a product vision and a value proposition that you put out for your customers that makes it easy for them to explain it to someone else? Because I just told you we try to make our product recommendable. And the strongest users that we have in our inbound are the ones that are recommended. So I need to make sure that if somebody loves my product, that they can actually recommend it easily, by process and by wording. And we use goals to target value. Not revenue, value, customer value, and growth teams who piss everyone off. So let me just quickly go into this. You can take a picture of it. I'm just going to, in the interest of time, because I'm probably talking already for too long. What we're talking about is we're trying to separate the business success at the top from management with the customer success in the operative teams. We care about revenue, but we're not targeting it. And the teams, they care about the customer, and they're very much targeting it. Okay, let me introduce myself. My name is Leah Tharin. This is me standing on 2 fish trying to kill inefficiencies in growth companies. I'm a B2B growth advisor for scale-ups. I've been part of 2 hypergrowth companies. One of them is Small PDF, which is a pretty big deal. Dine Deal. I was at Microsoft, which is not a hypergrowth startup. And I've been the head of product at Jua. I'm also the author of the #1 product-led growth guide. I have a podcast, and I do many other things I don't even remember. But I fundamentally help scale-ups to get this particular motion right in B2B. And here are 3 reasons why you should also not ignore product-led growth. Boom. That's a cool slide, isn't it? Okay, so B2B buyers are starting now to behave like B2C users. They start to have choice. And if they start to have choice, they start to also exert the same behavior that B2C customers do, because whether you believe it or not, in businesses, there's also people. So product-led growth, if you're just looking at this, is actually profiting from a commoditization movement that is pushing the revenue downwards. As we have choice, prices are coming down. If prices are coming down, I expect to have an easier onboarding experience. It's a bit confusing, but that's just what it is. Let me share something that is hot off the press. I received this yesterday at 10 o'clock, and Tracy included the presentation for me, thankfully. So I'm running this survey on what is on top of mind of go-to-market leaders nowadays. And we're running this with POCUS and KeyPlay. And I just want to show you one slide on what people are most worried about in 2023. This is going to come out in a couple of days. We had about 100 responses from enterprises and mid-market segments. So we asked 73 companies so far that have answered this. Question 27, rank from most important to least important the following go-to-market priorities for you in 2024. So this is just like 1 year ahead. And let me walk you through this. We want to go upmarket. It's kind of problematic if you want to go upmarket if the market is starting to push down. The second thing is we want to find new sources of deals, of course. We also want to improve sales and productivity. But it's not anymore about hiring more representatives or using AI or whatever. That's not on top of mind. We want to figure out how we can do more, right? Like this is the stuff that I told you from before. Here's the second reason why you cannot ignore product-led growth. Because now we're starting to combine product-led growth with the best of what sales-led growth does to grab these B2B markets. And this is where it becomes interesting. So everything before was just me giving you an introduction on product-led growth. Now we're actually talking about product-led sales. Let's look at my corporate graph again. On the right side, we have now product-led sales. And product-led sales is extremely good in grabbing mid-market value, and also a little bit from the lower part, by uniting what sales-led growth does really, really well and combining it with product-led growth does. And you might be asking yourself, so what do I do? What's the difference? Instead of individual users, we start to look at teams and accounts, and we try to find those that are worth reaching out when they signal, I am ready, through their measurable, objective behavior. Now you might ask yourself, okay, so how do we do this? Here's where the actionable part of this particular talk starts. In product-led sales, what we have is we have some kind of free B2B accounts. Again, the accounts are not free. They're just using the free part of our product, either a freemium or a trial or an interactive demo. Then we attach some behavior scoring to that. For instance, are they using the product successful? Plus 40 points. Are they visiting specific pages? Plus 10 points. Are they accelerating usage now in a specific time frame? Plus 10 points. Are they inviting other users? And so forth and so forth. And if these accounts are going above a specific threshold, which we work out with analytics and so forth, then they are called a product qualified account. And this can take days, and this can take months. And this is also the reason why you should not limit your product in a trial in a B2B environment on time. Who in here bought for a company a software that cost more than $10,000 a year? Keep your hand up if that process was shorter than a week. 2 weeks. 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month, 2, maybe some people are starting now to go up. You don't know. We don't know. Gary's maybe not around, or our CFO is right now on a yacht trip. I don't know. And someone needs to approve. And this can be a problem. So we wait for the customer to actually use our product and be ready with it. And now our accounts are ready to reach out. So they're ready for sales to go. We have a high closing rate, we have a low CAC, and we have 40% less lead time. Why? Because behavior is much more indicative that somebody actually loves your product, and it changes the entire conversation. Hey, I've been noticing that you were using our product. Do you mind talking about it? Yeah, sure. I love it, of course. I don't mind being called by someone from a product that I love. I love Miro. If they call me, I can talk all day what I love and what I hate about the product. So how does this change now the role of a salesperson in in product-led sales. So let's say you're doing this with a company, and you try to get there, and you say, like, yeah, this is a good thing. We have to now change, which is a problem in the word. Radhika also mentioned this. Product-led is not just about product. We need to change incentives for salespeople to get more money for accounts that expand in the future. And if you waltz into a sales meeting like this and you say, like, hey, I'm going to take away your quota, but I give you more money if you get a client that expands in a year, the first question they're going to ask you is, are you high? What did you smoke? How should I know whether someone is going to expand in the future? And then I say, hey, I'm glad you're asking, because sales is only contacting product qualified accounts. Because we know from research and through our own internal analysis that people who are using your product, businesses that are using these products in that way, they will expand later on much, much better if you do not give them too many licenses to start with. Oh, I have this special deal for you. You can get 500 licenses for the price of 50. You're going to grow into it. The first day you have a new CFO that is looking at your licensing, they're going to kick you out, and then you're then you're cooked. And just like one more thing, right? So like sales is only contacting these accounts, and we need to make sure, this is one of the biggest dangers that you can do in product-led sales, you need to have more leads that you can handle. Because if you have too many salespeople, why would you qualify the pipeline? It's kind of pointless, right? Like if you call everyone, because then you make your entire buying experience worthless again. So the fundamental job is now we need to give sales tools that let them identify long-term deals instead of these hot, short-term quotas. And we can do this through product ops, for instance. Melissa is going to talk about this. By giving them sales or like data-driven sales insights that give them easy access to this data. And that means not that sales has to call Gary in engineering and be like, hey, can you tell me what this particular guy did? Yeah, I'm going to get back to you in 4 days. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a really direct system to actually get insights. Here's the third reason why you should not ignore it. We have a secret long-term weapon. And that secret long-term weapon is called expansion revenue. This is the main reason, or one of the main reasons, why we're doing product-led growth in the first place. We can start to expand our value in the long term by cross-selling, because we have now already increased usage and trust from our users. Who in here is using HubSpot? Are you using more than one product that they offer? Okay, I see some people nod. So HubSpot has 5 different core products, and you can enter in any one of them. But if you love one, I mean, it's not hard. Yeah, I'm explaining you what cross-selling is. So, okay. But the fundamental cool thing here is that we can grab enterprise value before it is enterprise. I can start to grab a problem before it becomes an enterprise problem, because some of these companies will grow with you and start to scale up. And then you better be ready, and you have a product that is good for individual users, that is good in teams, that is also good if you were in an enterprise. That is a difficult stretch, but everybody who's using Canva, everybody who's using HubSpot knows what I'm talking about here. So product-led growth is fundamentally about forming habits. And the customer, frankly, does not care whether you have a department that is called sales, marketing, or product. They jump from all kinds of points. They jump from left to right, to up, to down, whatever. They might come in through sales. They might then go to your website or the other way around. Nobody cares. Only what matters in the middle is this. From the value proposition, how can I drive people up to the setup moment, to the aha moment, to the eureka moment, to the habit, and then we start to talk about monetization, not before. So that means for product, you only ship what makes the wheel go faster and is measurable. You might even have to unship stuff for that, because I'm going to incentivize you on the middle column. For marketing, it means that you will be measured on the quality of your traffics and leads, and not the quantity. And for sales, it means that you're being incentivized on customer expansion and success, not quota. It is about showing value and not talking about it. And that's everything that I have for you today. Thank you so much for listening.